Hello everyone, this is Tim from the border, and I just wanted to make a little video about using Loopy Pro as something other than a looper, using it in a less structured way, a less linear way, and using it more like a mixing environment. Because when you open Loopy Pro, this is your default template. You see all these donuts, these loops, and maybe you don't make loop-based music. But it's not a problem. Loopy Pro can do all kinds of things. And so we'll start out by going into our canvas editor down in the bottom left, and we'll just select these loops and delete them, gone. Now we have this beautiful blank screen. Of course, there are lots of widgets that can be brought in to control parameters and instruments, but we're not going to bother with that. So we'll just bring up our mixer. So right now we just have our master channel and a microphone input. So we can go to the bottom right here, hit the plus, and we have our various inputs, which is our hardware, AUs, interrupt audio, MIDI, buses. So let's start by adding an audio unit instrument. Let's grab something I just picked up in the Black Friday sale. And this screen is going to come up to ask for a MIDI source if you have this checked. So you can instantly pick whatever you want. Let's use Octocron. So let's we'll just open a nice pad, big synth pad. That sounds pretty good to me. So let's open Octocron and generate a scale and put in a few notes. So you can see here that the signal flow more or less is top to bottom. So here's our instrument, and we have our MIDI source under that, then our pre and post fader effects, and the destination, which for our instrument is the stereo outs of the master channel. And then we can also add sends under that. Then you have your fader, your balance, your mute and solo. For the MIDI source, it's similar. MIDI itself can have another MIDI source going into it. And then you have your destination of the instrument. And of course, a single MIDI source can drive multiple destinations, more than one instrument. If you click on that, you'll also see there's quite a few options. You can filter the channel going into it. You can set the destination channel going to it. You can limit the note range or transpose it. So before we can start playback, we need to set our tempo. Let's set something slow, and I'll bring the volume down here and hit play. Let's slow down even more. Okay, now let's add a bus so that we can get some effects going. There's really only one thing we need here. Let's add another instrument. And we'll just use another instance of Octocron. Not very interesting, but it works for the purposes of this demonstration. Let's add more reverb. And let's add a delay. Ooh, let's add fauve. So once you have something going, you might want to record it, of course. So we have our recording button up here. And when you record, you can select what you want to record, what individual channels, for example. So the outputs are things like the master stereo output. The inputs are things like the instruments, the audio units, or a microphone input. So again, you can do combined inputs or individual inputs, and you can do buses and color groups. So if I want to record these two instruments that are playing, I'll pick individual inputs, and I'll record the bus as well, individual buses. And then I'll also record a combined output. And you can choose lossless recording or by default compressed recording. So then you can just start, and now it's recording everything you do. And then just click that to stop it. Your recordings are saved in this recording folder. Of course, you can also get to it through the Files app. And these are all your individual tracks, as well as the combined output. And from here as well, you can share them, airdrop them, save them to your Dropbox or cloud or iCloud, whatever. So it's pretty convenient setup for that. Okay, what else was I going to talk about? Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the canvas and the widgets, because you can use Loopy Pro as just a mixer, but it gets really great when you start to create a bit of a custom control surface for it. And that can be a very simple setup, or it can be super complex with all kinds of interacting actions, but it's totally up to you. It might be something like perhaps you don't like the size of the fader. You wish you had larger faders, and you can just create a fader to the size you want, right? So here we'll go to our audio source actions and do adjust parameter. So we're adjusting the gain here, and we'll pick tal for that. So now you can collapse. One of the great things about this mixer is that you can collapse all of these other aspects of it. And now you can control the gain on tal with this larger widget. And you could also attach actions to it. For example, let's create a button, or you could use a double tap action or something on the slider widget itself. But when you press this button, you're going to trigger the widget, right? So we'll select our slider widget, and you're going to trigger it to 100%, and we'll set a ramp of 1 bar, right? We could also set this to toggle the value. So on is 100%, or let's say on is 50% and off is 0%. So now when we go into our mixer, we have this 1 bar setting where we can just a little automation. And when you combine that with lots of different inputs and outputs, you can create this playing surface where you can really orchestrate something live, which, you know, has nothing to do with looping. I would like to get deeper into this stuff in another video, but I'm just going to wrap it up for now. Keep it simple. Anyway, have fun.